to take all my money. And then know that there are things you have never thought of that can happen. The unthinkable happens. And so when you go through all these lists of ways you can go broke in a deal, or a particular deal can go under, you know, there's a wild card element that you haven't even thought about. It's a little more complicated than the bike ride. You know, like the meteor hitting you from, you know, you hadn't even thought of that. You know, my kids don't ever mention a stray meteor hitting us.
It's not a perfect game, all right? So we don't have to be perfect. We just got to do our thing and have fun. 2 strikes, bury the head, and hey, contact. Keep the pressure on, do our thing. Let's have a hit parade night, okay?
Whether it's high school baseball, the poker table, the New York Stock Exchange, or the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, learning how to win is work.
It takes practice to free yourself up to make those decisions properly. It takes relaxation. It takes a comfort level with what it is that you're doing. It takes a confidence. And that only happens over time.
To build your skill, you need to take losses and learn, and you hope you play against people better than you, because that makes you better. People coming into the markets don't understand that it has that kind of relationship, that there's skill building over time. And so losses are part of that, and therefore you want to make sure your losses are ones that you can handle, knowing that they're emotionally going to affect you.
You make a decision, and hopefully it works out the way it's supposed to, or the way you want it to, as far as succeeding. But sometimes you lose, and you got to be willing to lose. Because that way, if you're not willing to lose, you don't win.
Taking losses is about taking risks. Smart risks, though, because smart risks are the way you make the gains.
I mean, we are speculators. I think we're paid to take a risk. And that's why it's called speculation. But I think, you know, the difference, again, isn't that, you bet the farm and hope it all turns out. That's not risk to me. That's recklessness. And I think that, you know, the really effective, the studied, the experienced investor is one who knows how to take the risk, but take it in a smart way.
If I'm going to go to a casino, I'm going to budget out $800. If I lose it, what do I care? I spent it. I didn't lose it. Fine. Go nuts. But if you got your son's tuition fund and a couple of IRAs and you're hitching your wagon to some stocks that you saw on Kramer, I'm here to tell you that that's foolhardy.
Risk really has to do with how do you go to bed at night and what are you willing to risk to get the reward that you want. That's really what it is. It's a trade-off. It's not necessarily bad because you need risk to get the reward. So to me, that's a good thing.
Risk isn't at all specific to investment markets. Risk is something that everybody takes in their life. Every time you drive a car, every time you fly in an airplane, you take a risk, and people calculate the risk, so they know there's a 1 in a million chance when they go on a car journey that they're going to die. But they don't let that stand in the way of going to visit their sister. You know, they take that risk, and they're perfectly comfortable with that risk in order to achieve that outcome.
I start out with the one thing that I can know. How much am I willing to lose? How much, I can answer that. I can say, I'm willing to lose 5% of my capital, 100% of my capital, but you gotta know that. What's it mean to me? What kind of loss?
And when you say that, though, like, I mean, you take a young kid off the street, he's a freshman in college, he hasn't had finance classes, he hasn't had trading classes yet, and you're talking about taking a loss.
Well, yeah, because I'm letting it go within preset parameters.
If you have a plan, if you have discipline,
I know what I'm doing.
You can manage your emotions. Letting emotions get in the way of making good decisions is where we go wrong.
If you go into this saying, hey, maybe I'll be right, maybe I'll be wrong, I don't know. When it comes time to take that stop loss, to take the small loss, it's easy. I figured I'd be wrong in the first place. But if you go in saying, I love this stock pick, I love this company, we're going to make a ton of money with this, it becomes a lot harder to say, all right, get me out of this. This is not going my way.
Women learn this skill faster than we men do because women have less of a challenge with denial. When we men are on the wrong side of a trade, we wear that decision on our sleeve.
You can think about it either going down into the details, kind of a Jim Rogers or Warren Buffett tear the company's balance sheets apart and get into more details. Where are they doing what? Who's the CEO? Let's interview this guy, and so on and so forth. And another way is you can abstract up and to go, well, what do all these things have in common?
What do all markets have in common? Price. All markets have a market price. And the top traders make their decisions using price movements. They follow the herd up or down, but they don't ask why the market's going up or down. Look, there's always going to be another financial crisis that no one can predict. The harsh truth is that the brokers, mutual funds, media, and the government don't have answers you can rely on.
You have to base your investment decisions on what is happening to that stock right now, not on what happened in the past or what might happen in the future.
At the end of the day, there's a tremendous range of emotion that impact price. And the more we can understand what's happening to the psychology of the mass, and more importantly, what's happening to our own psychology, we can become better investors.
To make good market decisions, to avoid feeling panic at the headlines, you can't be part of the herd. You are going to have to think differently.
Before people get to work in the morning, they have used coffee, sugar, rice, corn, wheat, wool, cotton, silk if they wear a tie, rubber if they go running, oil, gasoline, zinc, lead. I mean, we know what all this stuff is. Why can't people invest in it? It's a lot simpler to understand cotton than it is to understand IBM. Nobody can understand IBM, including the chairman of IBM.
But perhaps the most important lesson for all of us, once an investment goes against us, is being able to get out.
Exit is the most difficult thing in the world, right? We all talk about, we sit around in a room and go, yeah, I want to buy this, I want to sell this, or whatever. Entry is easy. Exit is very hard. It's just like relationships.
Thousand different players that want to play in the oil market that don't produce or don't refine, like airlines, for example. Airlines have risk in oil. The one trick to this whole game, cut your loss quickly. You can cut your winners quickly, which is something you shouldn't do, but they won't carry you out of here for cutting a winner quickly. They'll cut you, they'll pick you up, show you the front door, pat you on the butt and say, nice job, but try something else. If you let your losers run, never let your losers run, cut them, get out. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, too.
Can you deliberately take a loss? When your investment is going against you, can you sell it and not have the psychology of saying, I'm going to wait till it gets back up to what I paid for it, and then I'll get out so I can break even? If you can do that, you will be successful. If you can't do it, you probably won't be successful.
With the economy on the downturn and retired and older citizens and workers losing their incomes, what's the fastest, most positive solution to bail these people out of the economic ruin?
Through this economic crisis, most of the people that I know have had a difficult time.
How can we trust you with our money when both parties got us into this global economic crisis?
Those questions are not unusual.
Everybody wants to provide a better life for their family.
I've traveled everywhere hearing similar sentiments.
A lot of what differentiates the results is how people go about doing it.
This is a really tough subject. It's confusing and scary. Stocks, currencies, recession, depression. The conversation can become so complicated so fast that most just tune out. And as we've seen in the last few years, even the so-called best and brightest